Oh, hey, welcome back, friends and neighbors. How's it going today? Hope you're having a good weekend. Hope you're having a good Sunday. Mine is gorgeous. Knock on wood. Stay that way. Pretty nice day in central Oklahoma for the first couple of weeks of January. Woo! Right now, it's about 11 a.m., low 50s. Feels pretty good. Well, I'm glad you stopped back. Glad you got to come in and hang out with me and visit for a little bit today. I did a couple of videos last week wherein I featured some short video and commentary on a new little old toy that I picked up a few weeks back, the Remington Model 14 and 30 Remington. And I shot it just to see where it was shooting and the loads that came with it, how they would perform, and experienced a not totally unexpected but somewhat pronounced anomaly when just shooting at a paper target to see where the grouping went. I fired two different loads that were in one end of the box of the ammunition that came with it that the former owner had loaded, and unbeknownst to me, as best I can tell, they were a ladder loading. Two loads, 5 rounds each, that I found evidence on the paper in the box later on had been loaded at different powder charge weights to basically test the rifle for point of impact, point of aim synchronicity. And obviously, he didn't have anything written on the paper that said these are ladder loads and expect them to string vertically. And so it was unexpected, but it was fun. So I sat around the house this last week and made some mail orders about 10 days ago, and I got me some brand new cases, and I got me some bullets, and did some investigation into loadings for this, because the 30 Remington is basically a 30-30 without a rim. It has a rim on the back, but it's more or less rimless design, semi-rim. And other than that, it's basically a 30-30 in a pump-action gun. And so I decided to go ahead and load up some test rounds that I know all have the same charge weight, and with new bullets and new components. The cases I'm firing are twice fired cases, so they fit fine. But I went ahead and made 3 different loadings with 3 different powders. And all of these loadings, those of you in the know that reload, all these loadings are anywhere between 3 and 7% below the maximum load listed in the published data books. I am not exceeding the bounds of safety for any reason with a rifle that's getting ready to turn 96 years old. So I went ahead, got those loaded up, and I also wanted to test some of the LeveRevolution Hornady plastic pointed bullets. You know, they're made for lever action. So I was thinking, you know, those bullets are designed to be pretty devastating, and for use in lever action guns with straight tube magazines, so that you can use a spire pointed bullet, get a little bit better accuracy, but not have to worry about the fact that you have sharp points resting against primers. And I thought, you know, this might be worth a try, you know. But one thing I did not consider was the fact that these plastic tips, it's like a soft plastic tip. I mean, it doesn't melt, but it's pretty soft. They're designed to just be in a straight line. And when you put them in a weapon that has a spiral twist magazine like this one does, well, they actually act as a brake, like a car brake, to prevent the tips from just moving off one side of the case in front of it, because the spiral design causes the cases to cant in line with one another. And you talk about an SOB to load. I couldn't even get the first one to load half the time. When you did, you had to really wiggle and giggle and finagle it. And you know, even the successive rounds afterward were fairly iffy. So turns out I won't be using these in this weapon, but I will load some up for my dad's 30-30, and I'm sure they'll work just fine. But I did bring 5 of them to test just for accuracy with a load from an older book with 30-30 data. So hopefully that'll do pretty good. Now, some of you might be sitting there looking at the, Brad, you got an AK-47 laying on the table. We shooting AK today? No, I've got it out here for one main reason. Pigs, they're back, and they're all over the place, coming up right on the edge of the house, down near in the front yard. So, yeah, they travel this canyon quite regularly, and while I'm sitting here doing an intro, and I haven't fired any shots yet, it's quite possible they could just come running by. So, yeah, that's what the AK is for. But hopefully these loads are going to show some good accuracy. I hope they do. And they were all hand trickled, so they should be pretty close to one another. The only thing in the equation that's going to be iffy is the fact that I'm shooting a rifle that has your basic buckhorn iron sights that are very fine. And my eyes ain't what they used to be. They're not totally horrid by any means, but I think I would benefit greatly from lens replacement. Shooting optics, shooting red dots, yeah, no sweat. Shooting iron sights, I'm just a little bit behind the curve. So when I sight at those targets, they're a pretty good blur, but I've got to see the sights. If I use my glasses to see the sights, great, but the targets go away almost. So that's the only iffy proposition. So that's why I'm using a specific style of target that is basically a huge diamond with a very heavy black border and plenty of white in the middle. And it's just about the right size at 50 yards that I can fill the center of that diamond with that front pip and know that I'm basically on center. So if these rounds don't perform with the kind of accuracy I'm used to getting out of my precision stuff with optics and all that, I fully expect that. So anyway, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to spin the camera around, give you a shot at that target board I've got over there. Now, I've got 4 targets stapled to it. 3 of them are basically 8.5 by 11 pages standing upright in the portrait format, and there's one that's laying on its side in the landscape format, for those of you with Word document edit. That one is the one that I'm going to fire the 160 grain LeveRevolutions at. Now, I won't be able to feed them in the pump. I'm just going to load them one at a time. That's what that target is for. The other 3 are standing up. And we've got 2 target boards on that post. The upper board on the right-hand side has 2 targets side by side. That's going to be load number 1 and load number 2. The target board on the bottom has one. That's going to be load number 3 for the Hornady 150 grain round nose. Now, I'd like to go into further detail about telling you how I loaded the rounds and all that stuff, but this platform kind of frowns on giving people too much information about things that are totally lawful and legal to do. So, sorry. I'll include a photo of the ammunition in its box, and you extrapolate your own data from there. But I have to give you this as a disclaimer, as a notice, as a warning. Like I said, everything I'm doing is by book data. None of it exceeds maximum book data. None of it even reaches book data maximums. It is all published, safe information. If you decide that you're going to load any ammunition for any weapon you own, I am not telling you how to do it, and I am not telling you what to use or how much of it. That's all you, baby. Okay? So, without further ado, let me jump up, spin the camera around, and get it aimed down there at their target board, and we will find out what we find out. Stand by. Oh, look. Pigs. I wish. Be right back. Alrighty then. This could be the first loading of the 150 grain round nose Hornadies. And I'm using on this loading DLC2 powder. Let's see what we can get done. Alright, so that's the top target board, interior right-hand target. Let's go ahead and move to the target to the right, and we're going to use the next loading wherein we're utilizing IMR 4895. And I will mention that with the exception of one of these loads, book data shows they should all be in the muzzle velocity range anywhere between 2190 and 2240. Stand by. Alright, this is the load using IMR 4895, and I don't have a spotting scope or binoculars with me, so I can't even tell you if I'm hitting the paper. I hope I am. I'm not really concerned if I'm hitting dead center. All I'm wanting to test right now is the rifle's grouping with this specific loads. So stand by. This is the far right hand target on the top target board. I can tell you right now, it's a fun little gun to shoot. Alright, let's throw a load down into that bottom target. What do you say? Stand by. Okay, now we've got our third test load in, and on this powder we're using IMR 4198, and that's been a good old standard standby for a lot of years in things like 3030s and 730 waters, things like that, and it makes a really nice powder for subsonic loads in a 300 blackout using heavy bullets. It's pretty nice. But we're going to go for that bottom target now. Let's run 5 rounds at it and see what kind of results we can obtain. Alright, what do you say we wander down there and see what we did? Stand by. Oh wait, I have one more load to test. It's going to be those 160 LeveRevolutions. Let's pay a little attention to that far left hand target on the top target board. What do you say? Now you can stand by. Alright, let's give that top left-hand target a little love. What do you say? Now, I have to load these one at a time because this is LeveRevolution plastic points, but shouldn't take too much longer than any of the rest of them have. Let's see what kind of results we achieve. What do you say? Alrighty. Now let's go down there and take a look and see what kind of damage we did. Stand by. Alright, let's go ahead and take the results, and let's check the top right hand targets first. Those are going to be the first two loadings that we tested. This is going to be BLC number 2, and I really like BLC 2 for 308s, things like that, out of semi-autos. It worked real well, and it being a more or less spherical ball powder. But this is the first group I fired, and you can see that I don't think I'm going to call that a flyer. I'm just going to say that's operator error, because depending on how the light hits the back of the sight, I can fill this entire space edge to edge with that front sight pip. But when the light changes, I get a variance in how I see it in here. But I'm going to go ahead and count that and say that we've got a group that's kind of walking to the right. I don't know what particular order they fired in, but it just seems like it really didn't like this load. And that's going to be about 2.5 inches. On the second group, using the IMR 4895, I like that. Now, you'll see from target to target that with the exception of one load, which was the BLC2, all of the groups are tending to impact left to center. And this one's got a really nice tight group. I'm not going to call that a flyer. I'm going to call that operator deficiency, because with these sights, I am handicapped. So if I included this in here, and if I had my stuff together, I would say it would be in here with it, and that's less than a 1 1/8 inch group. 1/2 inch side to side, and that's a pretty damn good group. And it is literally sitting even with where I would want the bullet to impact anyway. With that front sight pip filling this void, my bullet should be impacting at that level right there. So I'm golden on that. All I have to do is adjust that sight, and you'll see on the other targets, these groupings are having a tendency to impact about 1.5 inches, maybe 1 3/8 left of the center line of that target. Stand by. Now, this is the target that was on the lower target board by itself, and this is the group that was fired utilizing IMR 4198, and that's a really nice powder. And at the point where I was shooting this, I did in fact have shading coming in and out, or across and off, of the front sight pip. So there were times when, just in this short string, that I had shade on and shade off of the pip, and it's filling this right here. I'm going to go ahead and call that a flyer. All the other rounds are right here, and there's a flyer right here. So other than that, I've got a group that's less than 3/4 inch. It's just a little bit high of where I want impacting, and it is trending left like the other group did on the 4895. So let's take a look at the last target using the LeveRevolution. All right, and as we can see on this target, I'm going to call it a flyer. Although it looks pretty on paper, it's actually not where it's supposed to be. I'm going to call that a flyer. That's right where I want the group to be. But the main group is right here, just a little bit high of where I want to impact by less than 1/4 inch. But it's all clustered right there, and that's the group that I'm paying attention to. And like 3, except for 1, the BLC2, each one of these loadings have trended to the left. And that's a damn fine group at right at 3/4 inch. So what do I take away from this? I'm going to adjust that front sight. That's what I take away. It drifts and has a set screw. I'll be able to move it, get my point of impact to center, and I can use either this load or this load and be just about resting assured with any of those 3 loads of extruded powders, which is what those 3 loads are: Varget and then 48.95 and 41.98. I can just about be assured once I adjust that sight, I'm going to be hitting center. And even though I'm filling this area, this isn't where I want the bullet to hit. I want it to be right there because that is the bullet sitting right on top of the front sight, and that's how those sights were designed to be utilized. And none of these targets would be misses on a pig. I'd have a lot of dead pigs, really. And that's what I'm most concerned with. If I ever take it out and it's in the truck and I see a pig, I'll know where to shoot. All right, let's do some after action. Stand by. Well, what do you think, friends and neighbors? I think this little old 96-year-old gun still got some life left in her. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure it does. Those weren't bad groupings for iron sights in me. If that pip was a little wider, had a different new modern style sight, groups might be tighter, but hell, some of them groups are less than 3/4 of an inch. I can't kick about that. Not with these eyes at this age, and a weapon that really is damn accurate. And if you'll notice, we didn't get any vertical stringing, so yeah, I'm about 100% sure those were ladder loadings, and they were, yeah, a little more variance than just a couple of grains, but not many more. One thing about it, she's a sweet shooting old gun, and she threw a little performance out there today. If I discount operator error, and maybe on the one powder, the BLC2, I've got some damn nice groups. And all I have to do is drift that front sight just a hair, and I'll be center. And my bullets, for the most part, on 2 of those powders in those loads, will be hitting right where they need to hit. But a pig could run out in front of me right now, or a deer, I could knock it down right now with no problem with any of those loads that I tested today. I really wish I could utilize those LeveRevolution bullets, but they just ain't going to load in that spiral tube magazine very well at all. So I won't even try to do that. Now, I might load up 20 of them to carry as first round hand load into the gun and backed up by some round noses in the magazine. I'm kind of curious. I think they do a damn fine job. Whether they do a better job that would make a better difference on transferring energy and damage path through a deer or a hog, I don't know. I still have to test that, get a comparison. Those 150 grain soft points, those are interlock bonded. Yeah, they do some serious hurt. I've seen them. I saw one shoot completely through a big old white-tailed doe that my dad shot. Standing 17 yards away, he hit her straight in the chest, and it went out the other end and took genitalia and waste delivery devices with it. It was bad. So I'm glad you guys got to stop by and hang out here at the range with me on this gorgeous day. And I just kind of chomping at the bit. I'm going to go ahead and throw this old school stuff back in the truck, and I'm going to drive around with that AK and see if I can't find me a hog or two, because they ought to be out running around in the sunshine like this. Too pretty. They got to be somewhere. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you took a little away from it, and I know I certainly did. I've got really 2 fine loads that I know I can load up, adjust this front sight, and be deadly. 100 yards in, absolutely deadly, with just iron sights. You can't beat that when you feel like going out old school. Well, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys had a great Sunday, and I hope the coming week treats you nice. And I'll be sitting here thinking about something else to do on my next video. And until then, I hope that life treats you kind, and hopefully here real soon I'm going to see you good folks somewhere downrange. Bye.